think we have a bit of time, so because we're starting earlier than expected, so I'll take it easy. I might even have time for Q&A if you guys are into it after. I'll start with a disclaimer. Just by listening to this talk, you might increase your life expectancy a bit. You might gain a few years. But jokes aside, multiple studies have shown that people who have strong relationships, healthy relationships with the community, get to live a happier, a healthier, and a longer life. So you can ask yourself, like, do I have healthy and strong relationships? Do I belong to a community? The obvious answer is yes, because you're here. But I'll try to convey a sense of what we're doing at Commons. We're building community. We're helping this community to bond together. And if you don't know me, I mean, my introduction this morning was brief, but I'm David Bchiri. I'm a former engineer. And I'm also the president of XRPL Commons that started about 2 years ago. I announced Commons 2 years ago on stage at Apex in Amsterdam. And for the last 2 years, we've been dedicated to strengthening the XRPL community through education, startup incubation, and community initiatives. I'll give you a detail of what we're doing in a bit. But I'm going to start with sharing with you the secret ingredient that we have at Commons. And it's not rocket science. It's pretty low tech. It's what I call the power of hello. And you're just about to experience it. So I'm going to give you 1 full minute to reach out to the person on your left, or on your right, or in the back, or in the front. But you have 1 full minute to connect with 2 people around you. And by the end of this minute, you should know their name, their passion, and the reason why they came to Apex. Okay? So it's for you. This time is for you. I know it went really fast. For me, it was a lifetime to be on stage doing nothing, but I really enjoy this moment where people connect and bond. This is what we're doing at Commons. We have created this playbook to let people experience the connection with other peers in different fields, because we know that from that comes a lot of positive externalities for the community. From day one, we wanted to build a community that would be focused on making an impact together, using the XRP ledger, an open source common good, as Vet was just saying, as the platform to emerge from it. Over the last 2 years, we've built a lot of strong connections, more than 5,000, so that's a lot. And we've done that through really organic ways of connecting people, through live events, trainings, hackathons, interviews, incubation programs. So what you just experienced here for 1 minute, some people have experienced it for 2 days in Paris, others for 3 months. And this is, for me, this is a way to change people's lives. This is a way with our team that we can take people from one starting point and get them on the journey. And so to these 5,000 people who are connected to the Commons, we know we can reach them, we know we can engage with them, we know what they're doing, we know why they're here, why they contribute, what excites them. Our mission, if we want to dig into it, is really clear and simple, is to create the conditions of success for builders, whether developers, entrepreneurs, researchers, to thrive in the XRPL ecosystem. So when we say conditions of success, this is very broad, and I want to explain. I'll double-click in that. What I believe will make everyone successful is if we are successful in building companies that can generate revenue, that are sustainable on their own. They do not depend on the generosity of anyone. They have a market, they have customers who are happy to pay for their services, and that in return will create careers, opportunities, gigs, jobs. People will join because there's a pathway for them to sustain a living with their skills. And so to deliver that mission, we've organized Commons on 5 different pillars. Okay, we try to keep it simple. Learn, build, launch, adopt, and engage. The learn pillar is about spreading the knowledge, because knowledge is a simple treasure. The more you share it, the more you have of it. And so we do that on campus, at our venue in Paris, and that includes really hands-on trainings and also more academic study programs. The learning is really the beginning of the journey for developers or entrepreneurs. The build pillar is more internal, I would say, but very client-facing, client being the community. So we have a full team, a full technical team at Commons that builds infrastructure, develops trainings, provides boilerplates, tutorials, organizes hackathons, and build a range of community hubs. For those who were yesterday at Luke's talk, you've seen a glimpse of these community apps, but some of them are really to empower the ecosystem and create a discovery layer for the applications. When you join an ecosystem, you don't know everything that's built. So we started an internal project for us to better know the ecosystem, a map, mapping the ecosystem, and it turned into a public website now where all the projects that are being built on the XRPL are listed. Of course, we don't know everything. We don't know what we don't know. So if you know of a project that is being built on the XRPL, you can submit it on the ecosystem map, and we can also let you become the owner of your project on the ecosystem map. So you can add information. You can add your GitHub repository, for instance. You can add the list of contributors. And that feeds another project that we have, which we call the XRPL profile. Basically, it's an open CRM where builders can quietly build their profile. So I've contributed to that. I've done this. I went to this event. I submitted a project on a hackathon. And the more knowledge we have about the contributors, the more we can elevate them. It's like, think of it as a leaderboard somehow with top contributors. Who is the most contributing? Some might be very loud and have a big clout, and we know about them. And some other might not be visible. And some builders I've met for the first time during these conferences, they're like, "Yeah, I'm building this app." Like, I never heard of the app, never heard of you, but they've been building in the ecosystem for several months or several years, and so that's a way for us to better know the ecosystem and better know the people in the ecosystem. We just released a website we call News, very inspired by Hacker News, which is a very simple way to share information, and that ties up into your profile. So you cannot share just random stuff. You have to own what you share. And by sharing information with the community, you empower others. We're starting that with the alumni of one of our programs. So we know the people, they're already connected to us, and we trust that they will build a knowledge base. And if you look at Hacker News, it started exactly the same way. It started with a small base of entrepreneurs, and that grew into a public website that is now a reference for the tech community. And finally, we're building something we call Gossip. So not the gossip that linked to RippleD for the connoisseur. Gossip for us is listing all the touch points that we have with the community. So anyone we encounter during an event, during a hackathon, we can track the touch points we have with them, so we can better support them. It's not about knowing everything about you. We don't really care about you. I mean, we care, But we're not interested in listing private information. This is not about monetizing the data at all. It's really about how we can support you better. So if we know we met during a conference in the US and then we met again in Singapore, there's a good chance that you're very involved with the community. So if we know that, for us, we can better help you build and engage with the community. Another pillar of us is adoption. So for builders, it's not really clear what the corporations, what the big institutions are doing on the XRPL. And when we started XRPL Commons, we thought that it was too far for us to reach, but literally we realized that there's a gap between the startups and the big corporations, and we need to bridge that gap. Because everyone at the end of the day will benefit from knowing each other and engaging with each other. So the big corporations, they need to first know about XRP Ledger, and before even knowing about XRP Ledger, they need to know about the potential of blockchain. And it's very particular. It's tied to each industry. Each industry can leverage blockchain in a different way. So what we do is we analyze their value chain, and we see where blockchain really makes sense for each industry, and then we engage with them. That can be during summits. So that's one of the summits we organized in Paris, where we brought together all the major European players for conversations. It was like very informal, but you bring regulators, you bring issuer, you bring large banks, you bring everyone in the same room, and you have an open conversation. And then you bring also blockchain experts, where we can explain this is where blockchain makes sense for you, and that can trigger really interesting conversations. We also do trainings for them. So once they're convinced there's a potential in leveraging blockchain, then how do we start? So we do training specifically for developers in big corporations, and we also do partnerships. So when they want to engage with the community, we help them navigate. When they want to understand how XRPL really works and how much will it cost to develop on the XRP Ledger, who will be able to sustain development, who are the developers who are able, before you go with the technology, you assess how many developers are there, who can support me. If this one leaves, is there another one to replace them? So making sure that they feel comfortable adopting the XRP Ledger. Moving on to the engage pillar. So engage is a very large one. Everything we do is engaging with the community, but this one is literally how can we be a good contributor to the XRPL community. So first, we started contributing to the governance of the XRPL Ledger by running infrastructure and becoming a UNL validator last year. Also, as a founding board member of the XRPL Foundation, as I mentioned this morning. And we see our role as being one of the contributors. And really, the foundation is like a meta entity that should be an umbrella for more entities. So this morning we had 4 founding members, but feel really that the foundation is a space for you to engage. As we did with Commons, we engage in the foundation. You should feel invited to engage at the foundation level. So that's a picture of the people who got reunited to talk about the reboot of the foundation. How should we do that? You only see the people who are physically there, but others connected remotely. And so we act as a coordinator among these people. And we see there's value in engaging with everyone. So that's one way to do it. Another way to do it is this piece of content, the XRPL magazine, which started really as a crazy idea. When we said we want to do a magazine, people were like, well, this is 2024, 2025. Like, who's reading paper magazine? How do you get that in people's hand? So we were asked by the community, can you also release that as a PDF, which we did. We were also asked, can you release that as a PDF and not ask for our emails to read it, which we did. But also, I think this piece of paper is a testimonial of what's going on in the community. And so people are building in APAC, people are building in LATAM, people are building in Europe, in the US. How do we bring these people together? How do we elevate voices from the community? For sure, Vet was on stage before me. X is a great stage. It's a unique stage, but the format of X is instant. You read, you move on. You read, you move on. You save maybe a few articles, but basically it's ever going. It's an infinity pool of content. By being more intentional and having curated content, initially we created all the content. Now we're partnering kudos for your contribution, Crippen Raider, here, front row. We can give him a round of applause because he's been very helpful. But also Ved contributed, and other participants from the community. Like, this is meant to be a platform for everyone to voice their opinion in a format that is readable. It's not just 140 characters and, yeah, this is what I think of that. You have to elaborate. You have to think of what you want to convey as a message. And then what you do with the magazine, you just put that in your bookshelf, and you can refer to it later. So it's also a good way for us to see how the community will evolve through time. Every quarter, a new magazine. Look at what we published and released a year ago. Magazine number 1. Probably everything has changed since, but having that as a snapshot of what was the vibe in early 2024, I think is a really good piece of information. So the magazine is one thing, but we also shine light on people and stories behind the XRPL. We do that with the town halls. The town hall started last year after Apex. We felt like so pumped of meeting everyone at once. We said, like, there's no way we're going to wait another year to bring people together. So technically, we had a few bumps on hosting the town halls, but I think we're getting there. In a better place where we can run these town halls meetings, inviting more and more people. And these are open conversations. This is what we're working on right now. This is the important topic that the community should focus on. This is what I heard. Some people are building really quietly. So I'm thinking, for instance, a call we had a few weeks ago with Axiology. Axiology is a very regulated business. You've seen the logo, you don't really know what they're doing, so we invited them to come and publicly talk about what they're doing at a level where everyone can understand, not with a cryptic, regulated jargon. So we see these tools, the magazines, the town halls, the meetups also that we run throughout Europe. The meetups are going to grow. It's information I'm sharing here. Every time we see there's a concentration of startups somewhere, what we want to do is go there, have boots on the ground, meet the people that are around the startups, engage with the local universities, see the researchers, the whole UBRI network that some of you are part of, that are doing research, also quietly in the research realm. We want to create the bridges between the local communities and the researchers, so we go spend time with the people on the ground. And the meetups are one stage also to elevate this scene. Basically, what we're trying to do with all these tools is creating a space for dialogue and connection. Now I want to focus a few minutes on the aquarium. So this is part of our launch pillar. And the aquarium is a program that was announced at Apex 2 years ago. It's a 12-year, I wish it was 12 years, 12 months, not even 12 months, 12-week program in Paris, in person, and we invite people from all around the globe to spend 12 weeks with us. We host them, we work with them, we mentor them, we give them access to a huge network of experts, and we really help them sharpen their ID. So they go from an ID to an MVP, and with that, they meet the community. So it might sound like it's a great program, yeah. So what makes up this program is really the community of alumni that are behind the project. So these are all the people who came to Paris for 3 months. For some of them, it's a huge sacrifice to leave. It was a huge sacrifice to leave their family, join a community of people they don't know. But basically, after 3 months, their experience in Paris has changed their perception of the community, and now they have a very strong bond with the rest of the community. So throughout the 68 people who came to Paris, not all of them are still actively building. Some of them realized that it was too hard for them to launch a company. Some of them realized that maybe they were a contributor more than an entrepreneur. But we created a network effect around that. So some joined forces. Shen is, I don't know if Shen is in the room, but Shen and Guillaume, they met in Paris and they became co-founder of New Endeavor. Now they're running Agent Run. So we're starting seeing the network effect in action here. Talking about people is one thing, talking about the project they worked on is something else. And for some of them, their projects turn into a company. So unfortunately, Dels, one of our alumni, could not make it to Apex, but his company, Agrify, is at the crossroad of blockchain and AI. It's an agent that advises farmers on how to improve the quality of their soil to sequester carbon on the XRPL. Bchiri, a startup from Turkey, enhances the employee experience through peer-to-peer on-chain connection and rewards and kudos. And Ashi, this is it's a project that's dear to my heart. It's a platform that lets pharmaceutical companies run clinical trials, engage with a community of patients, get their consent through on-chain DIDs, and once they have their consent, they can pay them through the blockchain. Then people can decide whether they keep the money and cash it out, or if they give it to someone else who should be more benefiting from it. So you see all these projects, they have an impact. I'm not mentioning all of them, but you can see there are quite a few. I think Eric from FileLedger is here at Apex. You should go and meet with them, engage with them, because they need the support of the community. Some of them raised money. Some of them are already sustainable with a user base. We have a key takeaways from 2 years incubating project, 2 years launching projects at the aquarium. The first one is, and everyone agrees here, projects need funding. So we'll see in a minute how we can help with that. The projects fail, but the builders stick around. That's also a very important learning for us. The third one is amendments bring use cases. The more we innovate on the XRP ledger, the more use cases we can tackle with it. And then finding market fit and traction is hard. I see the team of the accelerator is here, and we all agree this is hard. But it is a long-term game, and we're together in it. So what are we going to do about each of these findings? Each of these issues, they need an answer. So at Commons, we're trying to bring answers. We keep asking questions, but there are also answers we can bring. Projects need funding. What can we do for that? We're about to launch a retroactive funding program that's called GLOW to sustain open source projects. So Luc will be talking about that with Matt later on at 2 on the same stage, I think. So if you're interested, stay for more. We're also going to launch a small grants program for the projects that we have incubated. What we realized is that after they come out of the incubation period, there's a death valley. A lot of them are stressed out by the cost of life. They need to sustain. So how do we help them keep building for a few months? The other more sustainable way to get funding is to bring professional institutions that give funds. So the capital risk, VCs, we're getting them involved. We have really amazing names that now attend all the demo days that we organize. And I think long-term, this is how we're going to sustain our projects. And the last point is, up to today, we had only one grant program. I think if we look at the ecosystem on the longer terms, what we want is decentralizing the funding program. So hopefully the foundation will help with that, Commons will help with that, and probably others. There are a range of VCs that already joined the ecosystem thanks to the work that RippleX did. We're connecting with more people, and relying on more people to fund these projects will just make the ecosystem more efficient and better. To these other issues, which is not really an issue, it's a good thing actually. Projects fail, that's the issue, but the builders stick around. Why do they stick around, and how can we foster this behavior more? They stick around for the community. We have a strong community. It's diverse, it's spread out, but it is vibrant. So a lot of them, they see the potential in keeping building with the community. They don't move to other chains right away. They want to integrate more chains as their product grow, but they're still in the community months or years after they started the incubation program. So that is, in my view, because of the feeling of belonging. And these events like that, the meetups at a more local scale, will help foster that more. Also, they're staying in the ecosystem because everyone here has a passion for impact. Everyone wants to have an impact. Everyone wants to improve. Everyone wants to do better. And the last reason, which I think is probably the most important, the builders stay in the ecosystem because the tech works. The XRP ledger is reliable. And the first time I met Matt Mankins, I asked him, like, oh, why are you in the ecosystem? And he told me, well, XRP ledger just works. And I found this is a good selling point. It works. These other findings about the amendments, it comes from the DID, the DIDs in general. We hosted a three-month program on decentralized identity, sovereign identity. And we were a bit offbeat with the amendments. We were before the amendment was live on the mainnet. So what we saw is innovation is going on, and people are building, but it needs to be deployed at scale. It needs to be on the mainnet. We saw that with other amendments. We saw that hooks were not going to make it to mainnet fast enough, so that people decided to move on to another chain. And so what happens with that is we need to be at a really good pace with innovation on the XRP ledger. For that, we need to bring more people building at the core level, at the core protocol level. And so we're launching a bootcamp for C++ developers who want to contribute to RippleD to bring more amendments faster in a qualitative manner. Obviously, the more features we have at the ledger level, the more adoption we'll see because we'll be able to cover more features. Okay, this last one, it is really a good one. Finding market fit and traction is hard. It is hard. It's the startup world. A lot of startups failed. Most of the startups failed, and that's because you start with an idea, you start with a vision, and the implementation can be tough, but also finding the people who share your vision can also be tough. But most of the people we meet, they're in the game to solve hard problems. They really want to spend most of their time working on hard problem. So I want to invite the community here to get on board early. Be open to testing products. Be supportive of the developers. Be open to new ideas, or also be open to criticize ideas. It doesn't mean that you have to adopt all of them. But interact with the builders as early as possible in the process so they can test if there's an appetite for their idea. And the last one, and I'll probably conclude on that, is finding your purpose. We're all in this community for a reason, and I like to believe that we're all driven by a sense of purpose, and we don't all have the same sense of purpose. In 2 years of interacting with the community on a daily basis, what I saw is that people are here for different reasons, but they're all here for a reason. Some are here and work selflessly for financial inclusion. They want everyone to access financial system. They want them to be part of that because they're driven by equality. Some of the builders are there for financial independence. They want to be able to sustain with a job aligned with their passion. And getting a job is cool. Getting a well-paid, interesting job is the next level. And some of them are motivated by having no limits in their choices. They want to get financial freedom. They want to be able to do whatever they want. They want to have this flexibility in life. Whatever you aspire to do, wherever you find yourself on this scale, I think we're all here for a reason. And what we do at Commons, you can see us as invisible hands. Tell us what you want to do, why you're here for, and we will try to connect you with the right opportunity. We'll try to do something bespoke for you. Oh, you want to do that? We know someone in the ecosystem at the other side of the globe who's into the same thing. Maybe we can connect you, and you can find a partner. You can find a collaborator. You can find someone you can engage with and share your passion. So there's it was the French Open last week, 2 days ago, and an American tennis player said something that I really like. His name is Arthur Ashe. He said, start where you are, use what you have, and do what you can. You don't have to be a genius. You don't have to be a top-notch developer, a C++ guru. You can find your spot in the community and do what you can to activate it, to contribute, to find your purpose. at Commons, we will be with you on the journey. You can count on us. So, if you're interested, this is a QR code that will lead you to most of our programs. You might be a developer, you might be an entrepreneur, a researcher, just a holder. There's something for you there. So, engage, participate. We're here for you. And the whole XRPL team, not the whole XRPL Commons team. Half of the XRPL Commons team is here. The other half is running the show in Paris. And I'm grateful for them to keep the show running. But we're here. Don't be shy, okay? Thank you very much for your attention.